What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you an update to Speedroids. That's right, Teratop is back to 2, and hopefully this is the start of something great for this deck, and hopefully Teratop can come back to 3 if it doesn't get abused in other decks. I'll also show you the 1-card combo that Teratop initiates at the end of the video as well, so you can see how you can protect your plays going forward. With all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. With all of that out of the way, I'm just going to dive headfirst into the profile, show you what we've got, and explain why we've got it. So of course, we are starting off with 2 of the Speedroid Teratop. Recently added back to 2, very nice card. It does clash with, spoiler, the Cash Terror Unicorn, but this is the only cash card we are playing just because it technically is an honorary Speedroid. But there are still ways that you can normal summon this Teratop, especially when we have the ability to normal summon 3 times per turn. And I'll show you how we're going to do that later on. But the idea of this being able to search out any of your Speedroid monsters, it ultimately leads you to that 1-card Baron play, which allows you, with the ability of additional normal summons and everything else, to extend your board even further with the 4 remaining cards in your hand. And then of course we've got 2 Speedroid Marble Machine. The only issue with this card is that it's a pendulum. Now what I mean by that is it's a great level. Level 2, absolutely perfect, because when you get Red-Eyed Die on the board, you can Synchro Summon into your Cork Shooter. The issue is, Cork Shooter only revives from the graveyard. So really when you're making it using Marble, you're only going to be searching out a Speedroid spell or trap, which is a big because you really want to be able to do a little bit more with it. And that's why I feel that you want to be looking at other Speedroid numbers or levels. But this card is just so important because on normal summon, you add again any Speedroid monster from your deck to the hand. So again, you're just going to keep going and going and going. So you do need to be a little bit careful. So these are all the non-tuners that I'm showing you. So we've got the 1 double Yo-Yo, the 1 Ultra Hound, which is basically your Foolish Burial, and this is your Revival. And then of course you've got your triple Takatonborg. This card's just nuts for the deck. So summon it down if you control a wind monster. Very nice and very easy in this deck to do. And then you get to tribute it to special summon a Speedroid tune-up from your deck. Also, you cannot special monster for the rest of the turn except wind, but who cares? That's only what we're going to be doing anyway. So Takatonborg is absolutely insane. And then for the main deck tuners, of course, we've got 2 Den. I actually really like this card. So you get to banish this card from the graveyard to special summon a Speedroid tuner monster from your hand or grave, except itself. But you can only use each effect once per turn. Oh, this effect once per turn. Now, obviously, the issue with it is it's a hard once per turn, and there's no way of getting it to the board. You kind of want to get it to the graveyard, which is where your Ultra Hound comes into play. Or when we are playing stuff like Forbidden Droplet, you can also turbo that out into the graveyard. It can get a little bit, which is why you're not going to be maxing out on it. You could put it to 1 if you want to, but there are times when you can get 2 to the graveyard, use 1 during your turn, and then use 1 during the crackback turn as well. There's one good thing that Speedroid have, is that it is relatively low investment as you try to build your board if you play it correctly, and then it has a lot of graveyard recursion as well. We've then got 2 Speedroid card turbo. You can actually place it 3 if you want to, but in this version we're playing a card, I'm just going to preview it now, Time Terror Morganite, which limits the effects in the hand, which is why you search this out when you need it, and it's basically your alternative version to Takatonborg because you then get a level 3 tuner to the hand. The idea is if you open up a Takatonborg or a card turbo, you can search out the other, and you're just going to be able to extend. Its graveyard effect is okay. So you get to banish it and 1 Speedroid monster from the graveyard. All wind monsters you currently control gain 800 attack to the end of the turn. Like, it's okay to help you push for that little attack boost, but you might not really need it. It's mainly there because if you control a wind monster, you get to special summon this card from the hand. And then the penultimate card is the Speedroid Red-Eyed Die. Now, some people play it to 1. I quite like playing it at 2. I don't know how good your rolls are, but when you are rolling with stuff like Speedroid Will, more times than not, I've actually rolled a 2, which is really annoying because these are the only 2 cards you can summon doing that. Or, of course, you bring out the Marble. Obviously, their effects are negated, but it's like, do I want 2 tuners or do I want a level 2 non-tuner? It's still really kind of cool card. Bring this out off of Takatonborg, revive it with all of your other cards as well, and then just manipulate levels on the board can be really important to get you into your different synchro monsters. Then the last Speedroid monster I'm playing is the 1 Piper. I actually really like this card. There's a couple of different times in certain combos as well. So with the Speedroid 1-card combo, you can actually get your board onto Piper and then mill 2 or excavate 2 and add 1. And then you can also go into Charge Warrior to draw another one. So you basically end up becoming, rather than a 1-card Baron, you become a 1-card +2. And then with your other cards in the hand, you're then hoping you can extend your board even further and still complete a play. So I really do like Piper. So if it's normal or special, you get to excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of other wind monsters you control. It's the only downside, really. And then you get to add an excavated card. So it doesn't matter what you excavate, you just get to add it to your hand, which is really nice. And then the rest go to the bottom of the deck in any order. You can banish this card from the graveyard, target a level 3 or higher wind monster you control, and reduce its level exactly by 2. So again, more level manipulation. And then carrying on for the non-Speedroid monsters, we do play triple Win the Wind Charmer. This is one of the ones that will clash with Time Rendering Morganite, but like I said before, the idea is that you're going to want to open this card out, you're going to use its effect, and then you'd activate Morganite. Morganite is not the first card you play because it's not going to gain you anything apart from that additional normal summon that specific turn, so you actually hold it back a little bit. Yes, it will mean that future copies of Win will be dead, but then they're just used as free discard fodder and free send fodder with stuff like Forbidden Droplet. So those of you unfamiliar with this, you get to discard this card and one other wind monster. You add a wind monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand, except itself. The best thing about this card, very, very funny, it can search out Draw Unlock Bird. Now you can main deck Draw Unlock Bird if you want to, but because we're playing the Time Rendering Morganite, the chances are if I open up Morganite and I open up Win, I'm probably not going to go for Draw unless I feel that Draw is going to end the turn more for me than the extension of the Time Rendering Morganite. So usually what I would do is I would side in Draw and Lockbird, and then basically you have 6 copies of it, and then you would take out the Time Rendering Morganite. So you're kind of balancing out what you want to play with. And then, of course, we do have triple Kashtira Unicorn. It is basically just an honorary Speedroid. So if you control no monsters, special summon it. Pretty straightforward and simple on that one. And then the only card you're going to search off the back of it is your Kashtira Birth, because then when you get rid of your Unicorn, you then become, like, just bring it straight back. So the idea is that you'd go special summon out Kashtira Unicorn, and then you can special summon out either your Tarkenton Borg or the Card Turbo. Card Turbo instantly syncs with this to give you a Baron, or Tarkenton Borg contribute off in order to lead you to that Card Turbo to then get you into a Baron as well. So you're getting into a Baron without even conducting a normal summon, but it then becomes a 2-card combo rather than a 1-card combo, but you also get to use Birth to revive that Unicorn, and then you're in a very, very good position. On top of that as well, moving on to the spicy tech, you also get the ability to play triple Time Rendering Morganite. Now the reason I like this is because a lot of our Speedroid monsters are specifically on normal summon, but then they also have on normal or special summon. So it's like Time Tearing Morganite can really be good because it gives you that additional draw and the additional summon. Plus it stacks with your high speed Roid Rubber Band Shooter, which means you don't need to use Rubber Band Shooter's effect to lock yourself out of being able to link climb any higher. But if you absolutely need to, you can use Time Tearing, normal summon, and then you can use Rubber Band Shooter and normal summon again. Now, the reason for that is, and let me get the exact wording for you on this one. So the reason that they stack is that Time Tearing Morganite acts as like double summon and chain summoning, so it's basically classed as a 1 additional summon, whereas the Speedroid is the same as a Yusenju and a Flunderese monster, and is classed as a 3 additional normal. So class 2 is like Seraphonite and Fire Formation Tensu. So you kind of remember how they work. Some of them give you an additional normal summon, but you can only gain that effect once per turn. Whereas because the Rubber Band Shooter is like a Flunderese, where they can just keep normal summoning because it's coming off of the back of an effect, it means you can actually stack the 2, which is really cool. And then for the Speedroid cards, we do play triple Speedroid Wheel. So you discard 1 card, roll a 6-sided die, and then special summon from your hand and or deck 1 or 2 Speedroid monsters whose total levels equal the result, but you negate their effects. And if you do not special summon, you lose 500 life points times the result. So it can be a little bit risky, but the idea is you're always going to have a chance to summon that. And then we do play 2 Speedroid Scratch. You don't have to play this. I just like this as another way to get to Terratop. Like I told you, Terratop is a 1-card combo that gets everything started. Yes, you do need to send a Speedroid card from your hand to the graveyard, but that's where Den comes into play as well. There's cards you're like, I don't mind having this in the graveyard, and I can utilize it from there. And the one card that I can't understand why it wasn't called Speedroid Recovery is called Speed Recovery. So it's really annoying that you can't search it, but it is still insanely good because it is basically a monster reborn for your Speedroid monsters, and during the main phase of the next turn after it was sent, you get to banish it from the graveyard and then target a Speedroid monster in your graveyard and add it back to the hand. So you get a recursion as well. It's just really annoying that it's not a Speedroid card because you can't discard it off a scratch and you can't search it off of your other cards. But I still thought it was a really, really kind of cool card to have. It's just a very nice extender. And then, of course, we do play 2 Forbidden Droplet, 1 Call by the Grave. And then for the trap cards, we are playing triple infinite impermanence because it's only monster effects you can't activate from the hand with stuff like Time Tear and Morganite. But again, if you activate Time Tear and Morganite, you're going to be setting your infinite impermanence, not activating it from the hand. So keep that in mind. But obviously, if they with the Time Tearing Morganite as well, the Time Tearing is for the rest of the duel. Even though it's not continuous, you just need to remember that that effect is in play, and you can still use stuff like infinite impermanence. And then the last one we played is the Speedroid Duplicate. I'm not too sure how I feel about this card. It's kind of cool to send to the graveyard because then you can banish it and then special summon it as a level 1. But then you have to reduce levels on the board. So again, it doesn't really help you get your Cork Shooter effect off and resolve because you can't bring this back. But the banish a win monster from the graveyard, target card your opponent controls and return to hand is also quite nice. So there's like a compulse and an extender. So it can work out well, which is why you only play at 1. So it's just a bit of a, down to personal preference. So that's it for the main deck. Now let's move on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, there's a couple of things in here that I'm not 100% set on. I wanted to try some different bits out and I'll work it from there. So we've got the one Cork Shooter. I did want to put this at 2, but then the reason I haven't put it at 2 is because it's a little bit tricky to kind of get everything you want from it. Yes, it's great to search out a Speedroid spell. Cool, I can search out Will and I can search out Scratch. Absolutely fine. And then if I really, really want to, I can search out the Trap. Not a bad option. But what I want to be using it for more times than not is being able to revive the materials that is used for it because then I can extend further. And with this being a level 3 tuner, it can be very, very good. But like I said, the space that I've kind of taken out for it for other cards is stuff like Appaloosa. You could double up your Baron and everything else. Another card you could put in as well, not in place of Cork Shooter in general, I think you definitely need to play one, is I do like the idea of Kendama, but I like this in the side deck, just because you've got that ability to burn your opponent for 500, and then that could be the difference in a time matchup as well, so something to consider. High Speedroid Chambara, the High Speedroid Gotia, I hope I got that name right. So this one's actually really kind of cool. Initially, I kind of overlooked it, and I was like, damn, it's only had one print in Bosch, which was years ago. But what this gives you is during either player's turn, you get to tribute this card to increase the levels of all monsters currently on the field by 1 until the end of this turn. And then if this card is in the graveyard and you control a Speedroid tuner, you get to special summon it back, but you can't special summon for the rest of the turn except win monsters, which again, you don't really care about that restriction. So it's just a nice way of getting a level 5. You can like sync it off if you don't want to manipulate the levels and then bring it back with an additional tuner that you've got on the board and you can just go sync higher. So Charge Warrior, I actually really want to consider playing this at 2. It's just so good. So when it's single summon, draw 1 card. Nice. Unfortunately, you can only use that effect once per turn. But the other is that there's loads of different level 6s that I want to go into. And I'm like, or utilize. And I was like, Charge Warrior is just like the best one to do. It's a non-tuner, great. And then I can synchro higher, and that's how you're going to get into Crystal Wing. But ultimately, I stuck with it at 1. And then for the Crystal Wings, Clear Wings, all of that, we've got the one Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, Clear Wing Fast Dragon, and then of course Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. All pretty straightforward on this one. I actually really like Fast Dragon in this deck. You can consider the other Crystal Wings, Clear Wings, and all of the other wings in the deck. The only other one that I do play is the Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, but I feel that this could very easily be another Baron if you wanted to. So entirely up to you, but all of these I really do quite like. We've then got the High Speedroid Kite Drake, so just an out-and-out board wipe, which is quite nice. So, yeah, nice level 8 boss monster. And then Baron. So Baron is just so easy to make in this deck, it's absolutely crazy. And then it is your all-round protector, which is why it's like, I kind of want to consider playing 2. But what you really want to be doing is you want to keep the Baron on the board and then work it from there. By keeping the Baron on the board, obviously what you're going to want to do is you use the negate, and then during the standby phase of the next turn, you spin it back to the extra deck, bring back a card, and then you'll synchro it off again. Which is why it's kind of like, okay, 1 I can deal with. We play 1 XYZ in the form of Totem Bird, so there are times when you can actually make this very easily. Obviously, the only time you won't be able to make it is if you've locked yourself into Synchro, specifically with Rubber Band Shooter, but there are different ways, and it just gives you a nice way to deal with spells and traps. For the Link monsters, of course, we do have 2 Rubber Band Shooter. So Rubber Band Shooter gives you an additional normal summon. Very, very nice. But then it can also reveal 2... So you banish a Wind Synchro monster from your extra deck, and then you reveal 2 Speedroid monsters with different levels, different names, sorry, from your deck. And then your opponent randomly adds one of them to the hand. So that's really kind of cool. That's why I was kind of considering main decking Kendama, because there's times where I'd make Charge Warrior, and it's like, I can go for a Tokenton Borg, or I can go for the card. Really, which one do I want? And then the last 2 that I play is the 1 Desperate Doom Eagle. I just like this in the Fire King matchup, and just there's times when you would have a monster on the board, and you're like, I can't do anything with it, I just want to Synchro Climb higher, so I'm going to Link Climb higher and go into Desperate Doom Eagle. But then you also have the option if you can get an additional monster on the board to go for an Appaloosa. Because you're more synchro rotated, Appaloosa can very easily become the second Baron. I just wanted to kind of show you the different options you have. And there are, like I said, there are times when you can't complete a level 10 synchro, but you can use the materials to work your way up with the rubber band shooter to get to a 3 negate Appaloosa, and it just adds more to your end board. So really kind of cool options. I do like the return of Teratopter 2 is massive for the deck. I know it's only one additional copy, but in the past when you only had one, your consistency was a little bit lower, and now you've got 2, plus the Speedroid scratch. It just really puts in a lot of work. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the 1 card Teratop combo, just so you can kind of see the basics of it, and then if you want to see more combos or a dedicated test hand for the Speedroids, then get the video above 50 likes, and I'll be more than happy to do that for you. So let's reset the board state and show you that 1 card combo. The 1 card combo of course, Teratop. So this is how important this card is. So you're going to start off by special summoning down Teratop. You're going to use this effect to add you a Speedroid monster. And the one you're going to want to go for is going to be your Marble Machine. You're then going to conduct your normal summon. Marble Machine's effect will search you out your Tuckenton Borg. You then get to special summon down said Tuckenton Borg because you control wind monsters. And then you get to use this effect to tribute it off to special summon out the Red Eye Die. Now as it currently stands, you only have level 6 on the board, but with Red Eye Die you can manipulate the levels of either of these two so that you can complete the synchro summon of a Baron. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to turn your marbled dice into a level 6, and then with your 6, a 3 and a 1, you're just going to go boom into your Baron. Now, keep in mind, you still have 4 more cards to play with, and the only protection that this is going to give you, as disclaimer, is protection from the Biru. Obviously, you can stop your Teratop with Ashes, Veilers, Imperms, your whole 9 yards. This is not the most broken combo ever made, but the idea is you still have 4 more cards to crack back on, and if any of these cards are stopped, you still have monsters on the board to go and stuff like Rubber Band Shooter, work your way up into an Appaloosa, do other routes in order to get to a Baron. You have ways to play around it. I just thought it'd be nice to add the very baseline basic combo to this video so that you know everything you need to get started with Speedroids. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.